record to my computer. And let me close out of some super secret Apple stuff that I should not be presenting. And let me just double check real quick because I was just working on something that's being announced shortly. I think I'm good. Got it. Cool. So where do I go to share screen? There we go. Someone give me a thumbs up in the screen when you can see what I have up here. Do you see the data set? All right, cool. So what we have here is a pretty simple data set that just has some core financial KPIs. Let me minimize you guys so I can see what I'm pointing to. Here we have some KPIs. We've got the company. This is just the company that went public. Symbol, this is the ticker symbol. Every publicly traded company has an associated ticker symbol with it. This is how, think of this as a unique identifier for a company. Apple is AAPL, Google is GOOG, Netflix is NFLX. So that's a unique identifier for a company. In addition, we have industry, which is a dimensional cut. This is a classification of how, of what sector this company plays in. In addition, we have offer date. Offer date, think of this as just IPO date. You could retitle this in your own cloned copy of this. If you haven't already, please make a copy of this. This is the master copy. If you mess with this, you'll mess up for everybody. So this is just the date of the IPO. In addition, we've got shares denoted in millions. So when a company goes public, there is an associated quantification of how many shares are being offered for purchase, and that helps inform the the market capitalization. You hear the term market capitalization. It's just a simple formula of total shares outstanding multiplied by the current price. That will give you the market capitalization of that company. So when you hear Apple is the most valuable company in the world, all they're doing to come to that is talking about the market capitalization. They're looking at how many shares of Apple exist in the wild and multiplying it by the current price of Apple's stock. Next up, we have something called offer price. So another way of thinking about this is a float price. This is the price that in the S1 filing that a company agrees to go public and offers its shares. So in this example, let's take a look at an easier to pronounce one. So Datadog on row 8. They're a technology company. I've used them pretty extensively. They recently tried to hire me, but I like it where I'm at. So I am not looking forward to that. So Datadog right now, they went public at a price of $27. That's what that offer price column is. First day close is the next metric we're concerned with. So in the first day as being a public company, what did they close at? So all this is just showing that Datadog went public at $27. At the end of the first day of trading, they closed at $37.5. Now over here, does anyone have any questions about that preliminary stuff? Just go ahead and unmute if you do. Cool. This is pretty straight. This should be pretty straightforward. What we're going to do, and this is where it gets a little more interesting, particularly because we're going to be pointing Tableau to a Google sheet instead of a flat file, is I have one row here for these three fields: current price, offer price return, and first day close return. Current price, if you look at our formula bar here, we're calling a very simple function that's accessible to you. It's equals Google Finance, open parentheses B2 with a parameter for price, and then we close the parentheses. What this does is it's telling Google Sheets to go to Google Finance and return the price of what ticker symbol is found in cell B2. That's all that is. This little formula here, all it's saying is go to Google Finance, look up the ticker symbol in cell B2, APRE, right here in this example, and return the parameter price. And when you do that, this will update in real time. So what I want you to do is go ahead and hover on your copy, not my copy. I see some of you messing around in here and it's making me nervous. What I want you to do is once you make a copy by going to File, Make a Copy, in your version of this, go to the bottom right corner of this cell for current price. And if you double click, once you get that crosshair, it's going to autofill and auto populate that formula across our entire data set. Everyone got that? Give me a thumbs up. If you're lost, please speak up, because you're not going to be able to work on the data set if you don't have it.
Can you repeat that, please?
Whoa, what was that? You got a question? Someone have a question?
Yeah, if you could repeat.
Oh.
Okay, if you're able to repeat that, please.
Yeah, for sure. All you're gonna want to do, let me just go ahead and undo. If you see where this cell is highlighted in blue, you can see at the bottom right-hand corner, there's this blue rectangle down here. What you're gonna do is hover over that blue rectangle. Your mouse cursor should turn into a crosshair and just double click, and it should autofill. Oh, someone's in my master copy deleting things. Please don't do that. Make your own copy. And when you do that, it auto-populates the rest of the column. Alternatively, if that's a little tricky for you, what you can do is just grab here and just drag it all the way down. Just grab the bottom right-hand corner and just drag and release, and it'll do the same thing. But doing it my way is a little bit faster. Got it? You good? Cool. All right. So that's pretty straightforward. What we're doing is we're just calling a function to look up real data in the real world. What I want to do now, and this is something you guys can do in the future, go ahead and follow along with me, but go to the very last row that's blank. So here we have BigCommerce, and we have a blank row at row 104. What I want you to do is we're going to add Coinbase, because they were a recent one. And I believe their ticker symbol is coin in all caps. You just go ahead and add this to your spreadsheet, just so I can walk you through. If you want to enhance this data set and add new ticker symbols, this is the way you do it. We're going to call them technology, though you could make a case that they are a financial services company. Could somebody Google when Coinbase IPO'd?
It was on April 14th, 2021.
Perfect, thank you. So what we're going to do is 4/14/2021. And then I'm going to Google this real quick, and just because this isn't common knowledge, number of shares. $130 million. Offer price. The offer price was, I'm going to Google that one too. $250 was the offer price. And we're going to auto pop. This one is the first day close. I think this one was, yeah, 328. First day close was $328.28. And then we're going to bring our formula down here. And they're currently trading at 247, which is more or less about what their initial public offering was at. So they're what's called unch or unchanged. Okay, everyone got that? Anyone need me to highlight what I have?
Can you just go back to it real quick?
Yeah, for sure. So using that same methodology, you can go ahead and add what any other company you'd like to explore, and your Tableau dashboard will update to reflect any new data that you put into this. You good?
I don't know if I did something wrong, but some of my things returned NA, like the current price, offer price return, and first day close return. Some of them have NA, so I'm not sure if that's.
Yeah. So that's actually a great question. So that's something we're going to explore later, but you were very observant. So one thing you're noticing here is we got a hashtag NA for these two values, and you see it a couple more times. Yeah. So Prevail Therapeutics, GSX, TechDo, and I think that's it. So the reason for that, anyone want to take a stab at why that data may be not available?
Maybe it's been delisted.
They've been delisted. Why are companies delisted?
Because they go bankrupt.
That's one of a couple different options. So going bankrupt is definitely one common reason why a company is delisted. Another one is they've been acquired, meaning another company has bought them and they're no longer public. And a more prescient example of this is LinkedIn. LinkedIn used to be a publicly traded company, but in 2016, I think it was January or February of 2016, Microsoft acquired LinkedIn, and LinkedIn ceased to be a publicly traded company. So LinkedIn is another example of where we would have not available in the current price. Another example, and this is less common, but it's one that impacted me, is so a company, if they don't reach certain standards of quality set forth by an exchange that they are listed on, so that's like the NASDAQ, the Dow Jones, S&P, whatever. If they don't reach certain quality standards, they can be kicked off and delisted. An example of this that I lived through is a company I worked at, ComScore, and they're an ad tech company. They were caught doing some fraudulent things on the accounting side. And what ended up happening is the NASDAQ kicked them off of their stock exchange, and now ComScore is a private company. I believe, I don't think they've gone public a second time. Another local example of this is Dell. Dell was a publicly traded company up until about 2011, 2012, I believe. Dell was acquired when they weren't acquired, but they delisted themselves off of the stock exchanges and became a private company. Why would people do that? Why would you go from being a publicly traded company to a private company? Anyone have an idea?
So I can try answering that. One of the reasons that I can think of why this might happen is because when you are listed publicly, you will have to show your profits and losses and revenues and everything. When you don't want to do that, you will have to go private.
I caught some of what you said because there was a lot of echo and feedback there. But what I heard sounded pretty directionally accurate. So one of the reasons a company would be incentivized to go from a publicly traded company to a private one is the reporting standards. This is what that gentleman was talking through, like making your P&L publicly accessible to the public. That comes with a pretty heavy operational burden to do. I have gone through SEC training when I've worked at publicly traded companies, and it's quite a heavy lift to report your earnings every quarter. Now, the more common reason for a company to transition from being a publicly held company to a private one is control. When you transition back to a private company, you have more oversight and decision-making power to take your company in the direction you want it to. You don't necessarily have a broad sweeping board of directors as well as regulatory hurdles that you have to answer to. So that's actually why Dell went private before. So that's an interesting case, and that was a long way of answering your question, ma'am, but that's why we see some NAs here. Acquisition, bankruptcy, and delisting. Those are all common reasons, and we can investigate some of these. All right, cool. Any other questions? All right. Next, we're going to go to our 2 columns here. Any of you familiar with the concept of backtesting? No one? All right. So backtesting is when you take historical data and you retroactively apply different behaviors to the data set. This is a really common methodology in quantitative finance, where you look at what happens when what happens historically to an asset when some other variable occurs. The most common one that you see on the retail side is earnings calls and binary events like earnings calls and Fed announcements. So how does the oil industry react to a Fed interest rate increase or decrease? What's the hit rate for Google on their earnings calls? Is there a certain skew in Google's performance post earnings, positive or negative? When Google announces their earnings, do they have a tendency to go up or down? Because that enables you to structure trades around it. That's just a very elementary example of backtesting. That is not something I recommend you do. What I used to do when I was on UBS's options desk is I would typically look at, okay, when the futures market in the crude oil pit moves by half a standard deviation, so there's a dramatic move to the upside or the downside, what typically happens to the S&P the next morning? So that's typically that's a more advanced form of backtesting that we would do, and that's a practice I'm introducing with these 2 fields here. So we're just backtesting a very simple hypothesis. If you were to go long or buy one of these publicly traded companies at the offer price, which is here, what would your return be to date if you held to date? The second field is, instead of buying at the open when they first become a publicly traded company, and instead you bought at the end of the day and held to today, what would your return on investment be? And so what I want you to do is do the same thing and just auto-populate this cell all the way down for both of our fields. And we will get a complete data set at that point. Just double check that it completes. Yep. And we're good. Any questions around this? We've enhanced the data set. This is what's called enhancing a data set. We've added new data to it that didn't presently exist. Any questions? Need me to do that again? All right, cool. Let's switch over to Tableau now. Now we're going to go ahead and ingest our data into Tableau. What I want you to do is go ahead and open up Tableau. Let me switch to sharing Tableau. Okay. So what I want you to do is on the left-hand column where it shows you your connection options, we have used Microsoft Excel because we've been connecting to flat files. We're doing something different now. We're connecting to a Google Sheet, which lives on a cloud server elsewhere off of our local machine. So what we want to do is to connect to a server, we're just going to select the More option here. And let's go to Google Sheets. And what will happen is you'll be prompted to log in. Oop, what happened? You'll be prompted to log into your Gmail account and go ahead and grant access. And once you get the go ahead, you will be good to go. Oop, my screen is going crazy. Select high profile IPOs and Tableau will auto populate. Everyone good? Speak now or forever hold your peace. All right, so you should be seeing our data prep stage, and just do a quick spot check. Make sure that those two calculated fields that we added at the end, offer price return and first day close, have been ingested. Let's do a quick spot check also to make sure our data is being read correctly. I've already identified a handful that are being misread, but company, ABC, that denotes it's a dimension. Same with symbol, industry, those all check out. Offer date, this is a date timestamp. Calendar icon here denotes that Tableau is correctly reading this. Shares in the millions, Tableau is correctly reading this as a measure. Same with offer price, first day close, that all checks out. Current price and offer price, our formulas that we used, so these three last columns, those are incorrectly being read as dimensions. So let's go ahead and make a mental note that we need to convert those into measures because we're dealing with numerical values here. So let's go ahead and do that and ingest our data into Tableau by bringing in sheet 1. So first thing we're going to do, first day close return. Right click. This should be relatively fluid for you at this point. Go to change data type. And we're going to change it to a number whole. I'm going to go ahead and hover here so that you'll be able to follow along easily. Okay. Now we need to move it by right clicking on first day close return and convert it to a measure. So now we have it populating down here. Go ahead and do the same thing for offer price return as well as current price. Actually, something looks off. Hang on. Price shares million. Okay, let me troubleshoot something real quick. Looks like it's not getting a good read on this. Oh, I think I know what it was. First day close. Offer price checks out. It looks like Tableau is having some problems reading our formula here. Okay, first day close is working. Current price. Got it. Okay, so I'm going to show you what I have so far. So this is the issue that I've identified in the underlying data. We have first day close and first day close return. These are being read properly, but our current price is returning an empty column. So that's something that I'm going to troubleshoot off of. What I want you guys to do now, though, is applying our framework of starting at the highest level of aggregation and working our way down. Let's take a look at what the performance looks like from first day close. So this value right here. All right, first day close return, sorry. First day close return at the sector level, so industry, as well as the distribution of how many companies IPO'd across our timeline. So what I want you to do is go ahead and let's take 20 minutes here. And what I want you to do is just work on building any type of data visualization that makes sense to you to show what performance looks like at an industry level. And then I want you to also build a distribution of looking at IPO activity across our timeline here. So those are two visualizations that we'll come back to. And while we're doing that, I'm going to stay on this Zoom call and work through the issue I'm seeing here and with Google Sheets. And we'll come back at 7:26 and build out what we're talking about here. Okay.
Before you do that, can you go back to your Tableau?
Yeah. What question you have?
I'm just trying to see what you put where.
Oh, this is just me testing and validating.
Oh, okay.
That's how I came to know that something is going wrong with the Google Sheet function here, because current price is completely blank, but it's returning a value for first day close return.
And then you asked us to do two things.
Yeah, go ahead and build a trend line showing number of IPOs per month, as well as show me the first day close return by industry.
So I changed current price to like a numerical, like a decimal, like a measure on the data source, and it's returning a number for me.
So current price right here. Oh, I see.
Yeah, I changed it there, and it ended up returning something for me.
Gotcha.
It's at ABC, yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah, it's populating null straight down. How did you do it on here?
So, whenever I uploaded it, it didn't show up as null. So maybe that was what happened, but
Yeah.
I ended up changing it on the actual data source
Gotcha.
to number, and that's, yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to play around with this. Is everyone seeing that same issue where current price is empty on theirs?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, good for you. I'll figure out what's going on with my machine then. Awesome. Cool. Well, feel free to drop off or stay on. It's up to you. But come back here. Let's just go ahead. It's 7:08 now. Let's go ahead and call it 7:30 and we'll dive back in. And feel free to come back here if you have any questions that I could answer.
Could you repeat what two things you want us to be doing one more time, just to make sure I have it?
It just show me what the sector performance is at the industry level from the first day close return value, and then show me a distribution of IPO activity at the monthly level.
Thank you.
Mhm. All right, I got it working. All I did was just restart Tableau and then reconnect to Tableau. So let me share my screen. There's a reason why the first thing tech support asks you is if you've tried restarting your computer, because for some reason, even in the engineering world, 70% of the time, it fixes all the problems. So I went ahead and quit Tableau and went through the steps of reconnecting to Google Sheets. And once I did that, everything's populating all good. So go ahead and do that. You still reminder to change your data types here because Tableau is still reading it as a dimension, but should be good. I'm going to go ahead and poke around with this on my own too. I'll share my screen. I'm gonna go get a water and we will resume here shortly. All right, is everyone back? Give me a thumbs up if you are back. It's right at 7:30, so I'll give you all a second. Oh, look at all these overachievers. Anyone have any questions? Any problems with what we just worked through?
Can we work on what you worked?
Yeah, but what were your problems?
Okay. I work in the sector performance.
Mhm.
But I don't know if we need like a filter.
What's that? You were trying to add a filter? Sorry, I think we lost you. Does anyone have any specific questions or specific things that they were having issues with?
Yeah. Hey, Carl, one
Yeah, what's
thing
up?
I was running into was for the, and again, this is like assuming I did the trends, everything right. For the number of IPOs per month, I
Mhm.
was trying to figure out how to include January, November, and December, like the months that aren't on the data sheet.
Mhm.
And I couldn't figure, I was Googling, I couldn't figure out how to do that, just so that they were zero.
So can you restate that question again?
Yeah, so
Go ahead and share your screen too.
give me 1 second.
Let me give you the option too, because for some reason Zoom likes to default to not letting anyone but me share my screen. Go ahead.
Classic. Right. Hold on. Where, there it is. Big green button. Okay, let's see. Is it showing correctly?
Yep, you got it.
Sweet. So this is what I was working on. And basically I wanted to know if there was a way to get it to show the months where there is no data displayed. So like
Mhm.
January and then November and then December, like where there's zero.
Gotcha. So you're looking at this as a continuum. So what we're looking at here is we're not looking at a trend because we have multiple years. We've got 2019, 2020, and 2021. If you take a quick glance at the underlying data, there are only 2 IPOs within this data set that fall within 2021 and 2020. So a trend line is going to be problematic for that reason. You're going to have multiple Januaries because it spans 3 years. And also because this isn't a comprehensive data set for 20. There were many more IPOs in 2020 and 2021 than just one. It's just a function of what we entered into our sample of data. And the second thing is is you're showing a trend line. This is good. You're showing a trend line, but what we're not really interested in seeing how IPO activity has trended. We're more that's a compelling investigation year over year if we have multiple years of data, because that's an economic indicator of, is IPO activity slowing down year over year? Within month over month, it's not really a useful question, because IPO activity tends to correlate pretty heavily with the economy. It is useful over like a 10, 12, 15-year time continuum. So the short answer to your question is a question back to you. Is what we're trying to, how you're visualizing this the most effective way? So when we think of distributions, let me share my screen. Sorry, this is
Here, I can stop.
no worries. Zoom is a pain. I forgot how much I did not like lecturing on Zoom. Let's see. So let me go ahead and share my screen. So this isn't the only way to work with this data, but this is just something I've slapped together in the 20 minutes we had. So let me just make some modifications to my formatting. View. Cool. And just so that we're dealing with a little bit more space, let me also go to presentation mode. Okay, so what I'm showing here, when we think of distribution, trend lines are to show how continuous data trends over time, whereas a distribution is more just showing how our sample data is, well, for lack of a better word, distributed across our dimensional cuts. So in mine, I also have January missing from mine, because there aren't really, like, showing null values on a distribution isn't super helpful. It just occupies space. Now, if we were interested in showing how IPO activity was trending year over year over the course of a decade, then what you were illustrating would be more useful. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, no, that sounds good. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's not so much a question of trying to brute force what you're trying to do, but it was more of a question of, is this the optimal way to answer the question and show it? All right, let me just catch up on some of these comments. Please don't use the chat box, just unmute yourself, because when I'm sharing my screen, I can't see the chat box. So current price is still not showing up. Did you, Mandy and Jesus, did you go ahead and quit and reopen Tableau and reconnect to Google Sheet? That resolved it for me.
Yeah, I did it a few times. I also logged out of Google and logged back in to see if that helped, but
okay,
no luck.
Not a
Maybe
problem.
I just need to restart my computer.
Maybe. Whenever you attach two different systems, you introduce points of failure. And this is the fourth semester now that I've taught this data set. And this is the first time I've ever had this connectivity issue. So one option you can do, man, is, let me go ahead and pull the data set up. Is you can just convert this actually into a raw file or a flat file. What I would do is highlight the current price in your Google Sheet. Let me share my screen. In your Google Sheet, just go, are your fields populating?
Yes.
Okay, great. What I want you to do, just go ahead and just highlight all three of these columns, cut them. And then what I want you to do is select the current price field, right click, paste special, values only. What that's going to do is it's going to remove your formula, but it's just going to post the raw values.
Okay.
So I'm going to do it here and just show you so you can just double check your work. But when I go to paste values only, and then I hover over any of these cells, you can see now in the formula bar, there's no formula. It's just the raw value. It's hard coded in now.
Okay. Let me give that a try.
Yeah, that's less than ideal, because that won't update for you anymore. As time progresses, it's really interesting, because in 2019, when I first taught this data set, the distribution of IPO performance looked very different than what it looks like today. Because, and we're able to track that because the data updates. But when you use that hard coded value, you're basically doing a snapshot in time.
Okay, sounds good. I'll give that a try.
Mandy, does that answer your question as well?
I have tried that, but it still doesn't work.
Hard coding or quitting and restarting?
Both.
Go ahead and share your screen with me. Okay. Let's take a look. Current price. All right. So you quit and reconnected Tableau. For some reason, you're using attribute also. Yeah, that's a current price. All right, that's still broken. And you reconnected to Google Sheets and everything?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so let's just go ahead and do the hard-coded solution. If you want to go to Google Sheets for me.
It's already done. And I try to refresh it.
Yeah, so go to data source for me. At the bottom left corner. Okay. Is this connected? This is connected to Google Sheets still. This isn't the flat file. So what I want
you want me to make a copy of the Google Sheet?
If you go to Google Sheets and do that paste values thing that I just walked Jesus through, go to File, Save As, and save it as an Excel workbook, then you'll be able to upload it to Tableau. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Gotcha. Cool. Anyone else have any questions? Neha is still trying to understand if regressing returns with number of shares will add any value. That's a good question. That is something that I built also. We'll investigate that here shortly. But let's take a walk through what I've thrown together. This is just one of many ways. Don't anchor to this, but this is just what I find is an effective way of visualizing this data. Let me resize some of this real quick. So what this gives us is a dashboard where we have the distribution of IPOs across all months in our data set. Next up, we have a simple linear regression looking at the offer price versus the shares that are offered at the IPO. Neha, this is what you were trying to get at. The relationship is spurious at best. It's not a meaningful relationship at all, but it is something that's valuable to test because when we start looking at sector level, that may change. So you see with dynamic filtering, we have all this turned on. We'll rebuild this, but in addition, I built the sector performance view here, where I have a truncated, really squished together bar graph showing the aggregate performance of each of our sectors. Let me go to the actual underlying visualization here. This is what this looks like. So we see telecommunications is our top performing sector by a long shot. And oil and gas is our laggard. This largely due to the oil and gas industry bottoming out last March at the start of the correction that we saw in March 2020. The oil and gas industry still hasn't fully recovered from that, and that is to be expected. And then down here, I've created a pivot table that just basically highlights the core information aggregated in our framework of highest level of aggregation, industry, down to company, symbol, and then our performance metrics. So if we want to just isolate, okay, looked like in May, we've seen a lot of IPO activity in this data set in the month of May. When we select May, let me turn my filters on like a good student. When I go and select May, now this spits out and filters to only show companies that IPO'd in the month of May. And we can take a look at what that looks like. Now, this has a lot going on here. We have 4 different visualizations, and one of the things we're going to talk about this class is how do we remove noise from a visualization? So this regression model, even though it's spurious at best, it could be useful, particularly when we start looking at sector specific information. So what I've gone ahead and done is I've integrated a new feature that we haven't covered yet. Zoom keeps populating on top of Tableau. Let me, damn it. So the little chat icon keeps showing up. There we go. Cool. And so what I've done is I've taken out that regression. And when we hover over a specific industry now, in the tooltip, I've embedded that regression to filter based on the industry that we're hovering over. So the telecom industry, even though there are only 2 companies in that data set, it's not a super relevant sample size to look at that relationship. Whereas if we look at technology, there's a lot more IPO activity, and this is a much more meaningful linear regression. So let's go ahead and build some of this. Anybody have questions and want to show me what y'all built? I would love to see what y'all threw together. Even if you're not comfortable with it, it's totally cool. This is where being in class is a lot more helpful, where I could just walk around.
Could you show the hovering part again? How you were able to get the graphs once you hovered over one particular sector?
Yeah, I said we're gonna talk through that later. We'll get to that, but we want to walk before we start running.
Okay, thank you.
Any volunteers to show me show the class what y'all threw together? This is a safe place, don't worry. Valerie, your profile picture has you raising your hand, so that's an unfortunate profile picture in this case.
I'm just joining because I was in that meeting, so I'm really unsure what y'all are talking about.
No, you're good. You're good. I just saw that pop up and I thought you were raising your hand at first. All right, cool. No worries. If no one wants to share what you did, let's go ahead and just start building. All right, let's go ahead and create a new worksheet. I'm going to go ahead and go back to sharing my screen. Please unmute yourself if you have a question or need me to repeat something. I cannot see this chat box very well. All right, so let's just start from the basics. Distribution of IPOs by month. We want to build this. I have this color coded to represent darker blue is more companies went public in that month, and lighter blue is fewer companies went public in that month. So go ahead and create a new worksheet. First thing we're going to want to do is bring in our offer date field because that is our time. So this is showing us how many years are within this data set. So earlier, a gentleman was trying to build a trend line off of this. If we had more years of data going back, let's say, to the history of the S&P 500, that would be really interesting to look at to see how IPO activity has progressed over the decades. But we're only working with 3 years of data here, and more restrictive is, don't follow along with me, but I'm just going to illustrate something. More restrictive is if I just do a count of how many companies went public in our data set. We have 101 companies that went public in 2019, and within this data set, we only have 1 company in 2020 and 2021. There definitely were more companies that went public in 2020 and 2020.1. This is just the data set the limitations of the data set we're working with. So what I want to do is take a look. Zoom is driving me crazy. I'm going to leave full screen. What I want to do is I want to look at a discrete count at the month level. Remember we talked about discrete and continuous? This is an instance where we want to use discrete information. In pretty much every session, we use this continuous timestamp down here. What we want now is just a discrete cut because we just want to see the snapshots of data that exist within our data set, because building a trend line in this case doesn't make sense. So everyone good here? Speak up or forever hold your peace. All right. Now, what we're going to do is we have a unique identifier in this data set. That is our ticker symbol here, or the symbol field. When we bring that in, we're going to change our function to a count. So our symbol, if you look at that icon, that's a dimension, but we can count dimensions, and that will give us an idea of how many companies went public in each of these months. So we're going to change our function to a count. We don't have to worry about a count distinct. We can just use a regular count because every symbol is distinct because it's a unique identifier. So when we do that, Tableau spits this out. I'm going to change this back to the safety of our little grid here. And now we're able to see that distribution here in tabular format. Everyone, any questions? Everyone on this step? All right. So now let's show this as a true distribution in a histogram. So go ahead and on the show me palette, go ahead and select this bar horizontal bar chart right here. And you should get this output. If you don't get this output, let me know.
Just to clarify, we could also use like count for company too, right? Just because the symbol and the company will be the same number.
Yeah, you could in this data set, you could, but in the scheme of things, that's not a great idea because you can have companies with the same company name. But a ticker symbol is a unique identifier.
Okay.
You will only have one ticker symbol tied to one company. You can't have multiple companies with the same name. Good question, though. All right, so let's go ahead and take our symbol and let's go ahead and drop that on the label tile here. And we're going to do the same thing and change our function to a measure count. And what that should do is it should label our bar charts with the number of companies that went public in each of those months. Okay, everyone good? Now, let's go ahead and create that color gradient where we're going to take symbol again, but this time drop it on color. We're going to get a pop-up box where Tableau is warning us that there's 103 unique records in here, and it's going to get noisy. Go ahead and add all members. And we're going to go ahead and change our function one more time, measure count. And we get our color gradient now. Now, everyone got this? Anyone need me to redo any steps? Cool. One thing you'll notice too is down here on our axis, we have count of symbol. Tableau is just taking our function and labeling our axis with our function. We're executing a count of the symbol field. That's kind of difficult to ascertain. So let's go ahead and rename this. If we right click on count of symbol and go to edit axis, we can rename our axis. Let's just, and down here on the axis title section, we're going to call this, we're just going to do number of IPOs per month. And then once you close that out, your axis is now retitled. Anyone need me to redo anything? Okay. I already have this title. I'm going to just put a 2 down there, but go ahead and just entitle this worksheet distribution of IPOs by month. One other thing that would be interesting to cut this data up by is if we add a quick filter where we take the industry filter. Industry is a highly aggregated data type. And let's go ahead and drop that into our filter shelf right here. We get the same dialog box. Go ahead and select all and hit OK. Then same as we've done before, we're going to right click on industry and go to show filter. Just as a reminder, because this is something that is very important to your grade, do not leave this wireframe in this state right here. This is not a good user experience. So we're going to click this drop down, and we're going to go ahead and select a single value drop down because we have several different industries. We want to collapse all of this and go ahead and apply to all worksheets as well so that this will reflect on all of our dashboards.
Can you do that one more time, please?
Do what?
The filter.
The entire thing?
No, just the last piece where you put the industry, like you can do the drop down menu and stuff.
Got it.
Thank you.
So I'm gonna bring industry into filter. All okay. Right click, show filter. That gives us this wireframe that's no bueno. Top right corner, there's a drop down. Single value drop down is the one we're going to use. The reason why we're using single value drop down is there are several industries in here. We want to make it easier to navigate for our users. And then top right corner again, apply to worksheets, all using related data sources. Okay. Any questions? All right, good. Let's move on. Let's reference my dashboard here. Next, we want to look at sector performance. Is a particular sector performing or underperforming? So go ahead and create another worksheet. First thing we're going to do, we need the dimension for industry or sector. The terms are kind of used interchangeably. Go ahead and bring that in. And there's no wrong way to do this. It just depends on what we want to backtest. Do we want to backtest the first day close price? So remember, this calculated field we created in Google Sheets gives us, if we were to buy shares in this IPO at the close of business when trading stops, what would our return be to date? Versus the other option here that we're backtesting is if we bought at the start of trading for that IPO and held to date. So those are our two options. You can use either one of these. It's okay. But what you're going to want to do is whichever one you choose, go ahead and bring it in. And Tableau is running a count distinct function on it. We need to change that. And we need to change the function. What do we need? What do we want to change the function to? We covered this earlier.
Average.
Median.
So we got average and median. One is correct. Why would we not use the average?
Sensitive to outliers.
Yep. So if you think about sector performance or even just performance of any individual stock, it's not normally distributed. Very similar to what we talked about in workshop 2 with economic indicators. In this instance, returns or ROI are not normally distributed. So what we want to do is get an accurate portrayal of an industry's performance. We want to look at the median, not the average. So if we look at the average, I'm going to go ahead and just select average. Let's just take a look at what that would look like. The average performance of technology is 140% return. Average on consumer services is 93% return. Consumer goods is 170% return. Let's see what happens when we adjust for our outliers by using the median. Tells a very different story. Consumer goods is actually negative. Technology is actually still respectable 34% return, but it's not 140% return. And the same is true of consumer services as well. So that is why we use the median in this case, because the value is not normally distributed. Make sense? Cool. Let's go ahead and turn this. Everyone have this? All right. let's go ahead and change our formatting from decimals into percentages. To do that, we're going to go where it says median first day close return. We're going to right click and go to format. Select numbers here under default. And we're going to go to percentage, 1 decimal place. Just a little bit more easier to read. And when we're talking about percent returns, we want our formatting to reflect that. Okay, go ahead and close that out. Go ahead and go to the top right corner in the Show Me palette. And again, let's select our bar chart.
Hey, Carl, I have a question.
Yeah, what's up?
My numbers for like when I do median of like exactly what you did, first day close return, I'm getting like 100% for telecommunications and 0 for all the other ones.
Okay, could you share your screen?
Yeah. Can you see this?
Not yet. Hasn't popped up yet. There we go. It's loading.
Okay. So here, like if I go back, so like just say we have industry
Mhm.
and then bring this in, like I get these numbers, but then when I change to median, it gives me this.
Cool. That's interesting. Go to the bottom left corner where it says data source.
Oh, what?
Yeah, looks like you're
Wait.
having.
But it used to not say that like 30 minutes ago. Like I even opened it and like reopened it.
Mhm.
Do you think I should like refresh my Google Sheets or something?
Let's take a look. So in the top left corner, are you connected to your own copy of this?
Yes.
Okay, great. Top left corner, do you see that little, I don't know, it's a refresh button. It's arrows in a circle. Yeah, there you go. Go ahead and hit that and hit yes. This is going to ping Google Sheets. Interesting. All right, go to a sheet and go back to your worksheet. Let's see. Do me a favor and go to first day close return on your measure shelf. Right click on that. Hover over change data type. This probably won't fix it, but it's a long shot. Number decimal. Okay, go ahead and right click on it again for me and go to change data type, convert to dimension, convert to discrete. Where do you have, oh no, I was just reading out loud, sorry. Go ahead and undo that. Right click on it again. Oh, that's why. Okay, yeah, never mind. I answered my own question. Yeah, I would just go ahead and try reconnecting the Google Sheet. And if you end up with the same result, go ahead and just do the create a flat file off of this.
You mean just an Excel file?
Yeah.
Okay. Every time you like have to reload a sheet, does it do you have to redo your dashboard, or like how do I reconnect that? Like, do I have to close out of Tableau and reopen it?
In this case, the fields share a common naming convention. As long as you don't change the field names, it should funnel in because it's standardized. The moment you change a field name, though, that introduces problems.
Okay, thanks.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions? All right. Let me just pull this back up and we shall proceed. All right, we're going to go ahead and convert this over into our bar chart. When you select that, this is what it should show up as. Go ahead and collapse that Show Me palette. And then when you, let's go ahead also and swap our axes by clicking this right here, and then sort descending by selecting that icon. Now you can also resize your widths here by hovering over till you get that arrow. Just be very careful because Tableau likes to kind of auto expand to the max. Just get to the point where you just go ahead and resize this based on your screen real estate to what's legible for your end user. And here now we're sorting, descending our top performing industries down to our least performing industries. Okay. Anyone need me to cover that again?
I think I did something wrong. I don't really know what I did. Can I just share my screen?
Yeah, go for it.
1 minute. What's happening?
Are you sharing your screen?
Yeah, 1 minute. Okay, I don't know, for some reason I can't share my screen. But what's it called? It's just giving me what I have industry and median, but it's just giving me this one like long line. I don't think I'll be able to. I'll just email you after class.
Yeah, no worries. Anyone else? Okay. Now let's go ahead and color code. So as you can see, we've got two negative industries here. Consumer goods are negative, roughly -3%, and oil and gas is negative 20.7. Let's make that stick out a little bit. So to do this, we're going to take the same metric that we're using, first day close return, and drop that on our color tile. Next, we need to change the function that we're doing from count distinct again to median. Okay. Now let's go ahead and change our color palette from blue-orange gradient to a green to red gradient. Higher return equates to more money, which our minds like to equate to green. Losses tend to equate in the finance and accounting world to red, so that makes sense. So go ahead and select color, edit colors, and then palette, we're going to go down to red, green diverging. This is the option that we want. When we hit apply, we get this. I want this to be a little bit more stepped, not stepped, sorry. Use full color range here. And what Tableau does is it dynamically adjusts the most intense color gradient to the lowest value on both sides of the spectrum. So now when we hit apply, we get a much bolder red here to showcase that this is an outlier to the right, and we have another outlier to the left here. So go ahead and select OK. Very nice. So now we're looking at our median performance at the industry level. Last thing that we have to do is our axis is still denoted in decimal places. That's an easy fix. We're just going to right click on our axis, go to format. And in this instance, since we're not formatting a visualization, we're going to select axis because this axis section up here, because we are telling Tableau to, hey, I want to change the values or formatting on my axis. So under numbers, if we select that and go to percentage, 1 decimal place. And now it reflects. Any questions? All right. Okay, let's go ahead and call this industry performance and then create another worksheet. So referencing our dashboard here, we have our distribution of IPOs by month. We have our sector performance at an aggregate level. Now we want to take a snapshot at a detailed view. Why is this useful? Have any of you ever used a a stock or in your retirement accounts or a brokerage account? There's usually a tool called a stock or index fund filter where based on certain criteria, you're able to hone in on particular assets or securities that match your criteria. So things like minimum price, maximum price, dividend yield, years that it's been publicly traded, market capitalization. Those are all different parameters you can use in a lot of these brokerage accounts to be able to filter down and find something that meets your criteria. Are any of you familiar with that? All right, well, it is a very useful tool. And that's what we're effectively building here. So when I go back to Tableau, so let's say if you are someone who's interested in the top performing assets within the technology sector, what this enables us to do is select technology, and it filters our sample data down to only technology companies. Now, let's say we want to filter this even more, and let's say there's a particular time horizon that we're operating under for a investment criteria as an investment manager or portfolio manager. We can select September to drill down secondarily. And so we get a secondary drill down that gives us a snapshot of which companies and their associated performance match those filters. So this is a useful tool that we're building here. This is not uncommon or unique to just the financial sector that uses this. These are things that a category manager uses in retail. So retail and e-commerce, they want to look at, okay, what are our particular suite of products that are performing within a particular department that may have a certain cost profile associated with them. This is how you build that. Same with advertising. If you want to look at a performance, if you want to double down on particular creatives within a campaign that are performing well, this is the same idea. Last week's data set, the recording that you guys had showed some of that creative analysis and evaluating creative performance. This is the same thing, just applied to another sector. At the end of the day, data is data. So we're going to go ahead and build this detailed view to get that drilled in snapshot. So we want to organize our detailed view in the same way that we organize our visualizations, from the highest level of aggregation down. So for us, our highest level of aggregation is going to be the industry. Go ahead and double click on industry. Let's go ahead and next, let's go ahead and bring in our company. So we see this parent-child relationship emerging already. We have industry as the parent and company as the child. So we have all of these companies, Beyond Meat, Blue Hat, Chewy, they all fall and cluster within the consumer goods industry. Next, let's go ahead and look at pull in our unique identifier, the symbol. Okay. Now we're going to start bringing in some of our profile information. So offer price is the other one. So what price was it offered at the first day of trading? Next, let's take a look at current price. So Beyond Meat IPO'd at $25. What is its current price? We can switch the order here. Current price is the first column. If we want it to be second, which is logical, we just drag it down to be secondary on this measure shelf. So Beyond Meat was IPO'd at $25 and is currently at $110. Next, let's bring in our backtest information. So offer price return. We're going to go ahead and bring that one in. And then I'm going to bring in our last one, first day close return. Actually, let me take that. I'm having some issues with that one still, I think. First day close. Let's go ahead and bring in first day close, actually. That'll show us where it ended on the first day of trading. And now to resize our columns, we're going to do the same thing whenever we want to resize anything. Hover at that top column there, and just once you get that horizontal arrow, just go ahead and drag it out. That's a little too much. I'm going to just undo. Whatever. This is fine. I'm going to do the same on our company column as well. Why is Tableau not playing nicely? I wish I had a mouse so I could resize this a little bit more precisely. Whatever. It'll be all right. Let's bring this in a little bit more. Okay, cool. So now we have our snapshot for our detailed view. Go ahead and call this sheet 7. We're going to call it detailed view. All right. Everyone follow along with this? We used to use and build these for Whole Foods and Amazon pretty much every week. There was a different category that they were interested in drilling into based on certain aggregate performance metrics, just like what we're doing here with stocks, where they wanted to see how things perform seasonally. Over here, they wanted to see how things performed at a category level. And then they wanted to drill down on different criteria to get the specific brands associated with that so they could set up inventory meetings with their reps. This is very common in retail for seasonal planning. So July 4th coming up, or more recently, or more immediately, we have the holidays coming up. So things like Thanksgiving turkeys, things like that. These are all conversations that are being held right now in retailers as we speak. So this thinking about data in this way is incredibly helpful, irrespective of which industry you're in. So we've got our detailed view. Let's go ahead and create one more worksheet, and we're going to build our simple linear regression. What we want to test is what's the relationship between our first day close return. Go ahead and bring that in. We're going to change our function to median. What's our relationship between the buying an IPO at the end of its first day of trading and its relationship to the number of shares offered at the IPO? It's simple supply and demand. If you hear about things about moving markets or cornering markets, well, something that has fewer quantity or less quantity is much easier to corner and move the market. So if a stock or a company has only 1 million shares, that's much easier for someone who comes in and buys 500,000 shares to adjust the price up. So this is just supply and demand in visual form. So we have shares in millions is going to be our independent variable. And what we want to test is the relationship between how many shares are offered at the IPO and its performance on the y-axis. So median first day close return should be on your y-axis, and shares in the million should be on your x-axis. Anyone lost? Need me to redo anything? I haven't been able to buy Topo Chico at HEB in probably 2 months now. So I've been drinking this HEB sparkling water. It's not the same. So go ahead. We need to disaggregate our single data point and convert this into a scatter plot now. So we're going to take our unique identifier, which is symbol, and drop that on our shape style. We get our warning. Go ahead and add all members, and Tableau will disaggregate this for us. So I don't like the fact that we have 103 unique symbols here. So let's go ahead and select shape. Select filled. Oh, assign palette. Hit OK. And let's go ahead and change the size of each of our symbols and change our opacity and drop, same thing we've done before, drop that down to just like 60% so we can see overlap here. Next, I want to edit my axis. We're dealing with whole number. Oh, sorry, not edit our axis. I want to format our axis into percentages. So we have some significant outliers here, which is okay. All right. And if you want, right now this is just a scatter plot, but if you want to add your trend line, go ahead and select right click on the white space and go to trend line, show trend lines. This is a fairly spurious relationship. It's okay. So go ahead and just call this linear regression. All right. So we have 4 visualizations here. If you remember in the first dashboard I showed you, we had our linear regression in the middle. It wasn't super relevant in every use case. So what I did actually was to minimize how much space we were occupying on the dashboard. I actually am, this is a new function that we haven't learned yet, but I embedded that visualization into the tooltip on our sector performance. So when we hover over technology, we're able to see the relationship between the median offer price as well as the shares in millions. So to do that, it's pretty straightforward. What you're going to want to do is gotcha. Where'd it go? Here it is. So to get this, we're going to go to the tooltip tile. Go ahead and select that. You're going to get a bunch of markup text here. That's what this is. It's okay. Don't be intimidated by it. Go ahead and do a page break by hitting enter down at the bottom, just so that we can demarcate our tooltip. And go to the top right corner where it says insert, and you're going to select sheets. Go ahead and insert the sheet for linear regression. What you'll get, I already have it up here, so I just went through that exercise so you knew where to click. Anyone need me to redo that?
Yes, please.
Yes, please.
Yeah, let me actually just remove it from mine too, so that y'all can follow along. So I've removed it. So when I hover, I just get a basic tooltip. So to embed visualizations into the tooltip, this is a really powerful function that Tableau unlocked in 2017. It enables you to do more with less. You're able to use less real estate on your dashboards and embed it in another area that only pops up when you need it. So you're going to go to tooltip, this tile right here, and select that. You'll be greeted with this markup text right here. Go ahead and hit enter just so that we have this clean line right here. Top right corner where it says insert, go ahead and select that. And we're going to go ahead and insert a sheet. So when you hover over sheet, you get a list of all of your available data visualizations or worksheets that you've built precedingly. Go ahead and select linear regression. Here, you're going to get some more markup text. All this is doing is you've got a parentheses where it's defining the sheet name that you want to be pulled into this tooltip. That sheet name is linear regression. And then here, you're defining the parameters or sizing parameters. This is all denoted in pixels. So max width, 300 pixels, max height, 300 pixels, filter, all fields. So anything acting as a filter, or rather what you hover on this dashboard. So if we hover over oil and gas, that will be pulled in as a filter. So go ahead and hit OK, and we're going to see what this looks like at a 300 by 300 pixel dimension. So go ahead and hover over technology. It looks a little squished up. You see, does everyone see what I'm seeing on your machine? So what I want to do is I want to increase the width and height a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and open up the tooltip one more time. And max width is defined at 300. I'm going to go ahead and increase that by 30% roughly to 400 pixels and do the same, or 33% if you guys are actuallying me. So now we were 400 by 400 pixels. Now when we hover over technology, it's a little bit less truncated. You can play around with this based on your screen, whatever looks best. If you want to change it to 500 by 500, it's okay. You can do that. And 500 looks a little bit better to me. you don't have to you don't have to mirror one another. So sometimes you may want something to be taller than it is wide. So it's perfectly okay to make the max width wider than height. So here I have my width defined at 700 pixels, and we have this taking up more horizontal space. I'm going to go ahead and undo that because that's a little spooky. I think 500 by 500 is probably our best bet. All right. Everyone got that? Anyone need me to redo it?
Yes, please.
All right. So I'm going to go ahead and remove everything I did. All right. So what you're going to want to do is go to Tooltip right here and select it. Once you get this pop-up dialog box with markup text, go to the top right corner where it says Insert, select that, go to Sheets and Linear Regression. You can embed any visualization. If you don't like that linear regression, and quite frankly, I don't like it very much, you could ostensibly put one of your other visualizations in here, but this is just an example. So 500 by 500. You got it that time?
Yes.
Cool. So you don't have to follow along with me here, but I'm going to just go ahead and take a look at what it would look like if I just went ahead and put our detailed view in here. This one is a little bit wider, and I'm going to show you what that looks like if we leave it at 300 by 300. But when we hover over this, you see how our tooltip is getting truncated. Tableau even gives us a warning that the view is too large to show. So that's an instance where we would want to make the width longer than the height, or wider than the height. So I'm going to go ahead and just put that at 700. And there, it's still a little bit too large. So I'm going to just get crazy with it, and we're going to make this 1400. And it's still too large. So you can just play around with it. Just be cognizant of what visualization you're throwing in here, because it can be too wide to realistically fit within a tooltip. So here I'm at 2000 pixels, and this is entirely, so this isn't a good candidate to drop in here. So I'm just going to go back to just the simple linear regression. Now, there are many, many different ways you can cut this up. So you don't have to embed this linear regression. If you want to poke around in this data and build some other visualizations to embed in here, that's perfectly up to you. This is just one way of doing it. So what I want you to do is go ahead and create a dashboard. And we're going to go ahead and change our sizing, same as we've done in every class. Go to size, hit range, and go to automatic. That gives us more white space to play with here. So go ahead and bring in your distribution of IPOs. Go ahead and bring in your sector performance to the right, and go ahead and bring in your detailed view down here at the bottom. I'm going to go ahead and kill all of our legends here because they're not particularly useful. And let's clean up our formatting here. If we select this white space on our detailed view, select this drop down, fit width. And let's also enable dynamic filtering by selecting that funnel right there. Same deal with our distribution of IPOs.
Could you show how to do the fit width again real quick?
Yeah, you click this drop down here, fit width.
Thank you.
You got it. Similar deal here with our distributions of IPOs. Uh-oh, Tableau's freezing on me. There we go. We're going to go ahead and click our drop down, and instead of fitting the width, since we're not in danger of truncating everything, we're going to go ahead and fit our entire view. This will expand horizontally and vertically. So we get a little bit more usage out of the space within our iframe here. Same deal with sector performance. Go ahead and select on the white space for sector performance, fit entire view. I've already done it. And let's go ahead and turn on dynamic filtering. And now we have an actual data product that we have built on top of a raw data set. So when we select September, if you followed along, we get a snapshot of all of the companies that IPO'd in September and the associated performance of each industry. We can also drill down by going one layer deep. So I select September as well as technology, and it spits out the 3 companies, and that checks out. That's trued up. We have this label here saying 3 companies IPO'd in September. Well, what 3 companies and what industry were they in? Cloudflare, Datadog, and Ping Identity. So go ahead and clear your filters and you're good to go. So one other thing that we want to do is if you're presenting this, Tableau introduced a new feature. Tableau introduced a new feature, probably 2016, I think, that was an attempt to get rid of PowerPoint. It hasn't really done it, quite honestly, but this is just another way to present your data, particularly when you have many different types of visualizations that you want to incorporate into a single view. It's called a storyboard. So if you go to the bottom right corner right here, to the right of where new dashboard is, when you select that, this is something new that we haven't explored also. This is a way for you to be able to use all of your various different visualizations and pattern them how you like them to tell a story. So what I'm going to do here, same as always, we're going to change our sizing down here to be automatic. And that gives us a little bit more real estate. So applying our framework from the highest level of aggregation down to our granular cut of data, what we're going to do is structure our narrative by, we're going to go ahead and, I'm going to go ahead and call this one, call it sector performance. This is just a high level view of, okay, out of all the IPOs in this data set, how did they perform? That's a compelling place to start a narrative. So if we bring in sector performance and drop it in, it goes ahead and populates here. What I wanted now, we're going to create another one with Tableau will play nicely with me. Over here on the left where it says new story point, you have a blank as an option. Go ahead and select blank. And that gives us another blank canvas. This is where we want to bring in our dashboard. So go ahead and bring in your dashboard into this view. And sizing isn't perfect using stories. This is part of why it hasn't been successful in replacing PowerPoint, because formatting stories still is pretty cumbersome, but this is just another tool in your tool belt. So go ahead and just call this drill down or performance drill down. Probably be a better name. And then go ahead and create one more story point. And we're going to go ahead and drop our linear regression inside of here and just call this linear regression. Everyone following along okay? Now, when you go to present this and you go into full screen mode, you have these tiles here where you're able to navigate across your constituent data visualization. So you're not losing all of the work you did in a single workbook. You can repurpose them in a structured format. And with our dashboard, we still retain all of our ability to drill in, consumer goods, and we retain our individual visualizations as well. So go ahead and just call our story, change that title from story 1, final analysis. All right. So we've touched on a couple new topics here. I know we had to cancel what was it? We had to work off of a recording last week, but go ahead and go to File, Save to Tableau Public As, and go ahead and name this MKT 182 IPO analysis. Actually, workshop 2 or workshop 4. Sorry, I forgot where I was. Once you saved your dashboard, you are done. I wouldn't hop off yet because I want to talk through a little bit about our next session, but I am going to hang out here to answer any questions you have about tonight's data set, as well as last week's data set that any of you may have. So next week is our last session, y'all. This is new material for most of you, quite frankly, and we covered a lot. You guys now have a portfolio tied to your login on Tableau Public that you can point to your resume as, hey, this is the work I've done in Tableau. This is a skill set I work to cultivate. As a reminder from workshop 1, this is just the surface of what you can do with Tableau. We talked through it. Also, I showed you where you can find sample data sets to build new things that we didn't cover here. There are many free resources to learn intermediate Tableau and advanced Tableau. I would say advanced Tableau is when you start getting into pipelining as well as automation and more on the server administration side as well. So if you are interested in that, that is more in line with the data scientist and data engineering track. Highly recommend it if you enjoyed working in Tableau in these last 4 weeks. But for the capstone next week, what we're going to do is I have a data set that we'll be working with. It's a sales operations data set. It's an export from Salesforce. Effectively, what you'll be using it for is to do what we did tonight. Build a data product that enables someone at the executive level to look at how a sales team has been performing. And what I want you to, there are many ways that you can cut that data up. But what I want you to do is remind yourself of that structured framework that we've been using, highest level of aggregation down to granular data, and apply it to that data set. There will be no instruction next week. I'm not working through that data set with you. You're going to have to remember the mental checklist. Check, is Tableau reading my data appropriately? Check, because there are data quality issues in that data set. Also, I want you to make sure if you're using quick filters, make sure not to leave it in that wireframe format. Use the appropriate wireframe, and then structure your analysis at a high level. What is the general pulse of the business? And then work your way down. We'll cover this next week. You are free to use Google. You are free to use YouTube. You are free to use one another. Work in small groups. Work by yourself. Whatever you're comfortable with. The dashboard is not due at the end of class next week. It's due a week following. That's when I will start grading all of your portfolios that have MKT 182, workshop 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. That's all I will be grading. Bonus points if I see that you've been practicing with other data sets that you've saved to Tableau Public. After class this evening, I will be sending out a Google form for you to fill out. That is going to be how you submit the URL to your Tableau Public portfolio, and that's how I will be able to take a look at what you've done. But yeah, I'll send this all out on Canvas, but that's about the size of it. You guys did great. I know this isn't easy for a lot of folks, and every semester I get folks who come in from an engineering background and want to do more on the engineering side, and I've got folks who barely know Excel, and that's perfectly fine. But we have to keep the scope of the class and what we cover to hit the lowest common denominator here. But it's been a pleasure, and I will see you next week. If you have questions, comments, concerns, anything like that, I will hang out here as I always do, and you can ask me any questions you have. All right, y'all.
Thanks, Carl. I had a quick question really fast.
Yeah, go for it.
I just saved my workbook to Tableau Public. Did you want me to save the story or the dashboard there?
Oh, that's a good question. I would say whichever you prefer. In the real world, I honestly don't see stories used that often because of the formatting issues. Like you're not able to like size things to take up the entire available real estate on your story. It's personal preference, really. So dashboard or story, use either one.
Awesome. Thank you.
Mhm. All right, next brave soul.
Will you post a recording of this, Carl?
Yep, I will be uploading it to the Quant Foundry YouTube channel that I shared with y'all from last week's session.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah, man, no worries.
Carl, we don't come to class next week, right? We just work on our Tableau homework, right?
I would say it's optional. Attendance next week is optional. You have a week to finish everything, finish your entire portfolio. I will be in class next week to answer any questions you may have that you're not able to easily answer via Google. I will not be as helpful as I normally am, just because it's 5 weeks in. Y'all should be able to answer about 70 to 80% of your own questions at this point. If it's a question on how do I do a quick filter, I'm not going to answer that question. You should know how to do that by now. If it's something like I want to embed a visualization into this tooltip, I know we covered it last class. I'm a little fuzzy on it. I'll help you with that. But basic questions, like if it's things we've been covering over and over again for the last few weeks, I don't want any questions on things like that. Did that answer you?
Yes, thank you.
So if you are comfortable, you don't have to show up next week. Just make sure you submit your URL to the Google Sheet that I'm going to send out, or Google Form.
Carl, I have a quick question at the risk of asking one of those redundant questions that you just mentioned.
No worries. This is the place to do it.
Could you just quickly go over the dynamic filters?
Yeah, absolutely.
I kept up with everything else, and that was the one thing I think I missed.
Yeah, absolutely. Not a problem. Let me share my screen. So dynamic filters, are you talking about like when, I just want to make sure we're talking about the same thing, because some people mix up quick filters with dynamic filters. Dynamic filters are when you select something on a dashboard and your dashboard filters. Is that what you're referring to?
Yes.
Okay, great. Yeah, so that is dynamic filtering. All you got to do for that is select the white space. So you get this perimeter outline here. And if you see this funnel up here, you want to make sure that that is filled in. If it's not filled in, this is what it looks like. All you have to do to enable it is select it so that it's filled in white here. So one way that you can kind of do a sniff test to just make sure your dashboard has dynamic filtering turned on is just select something. So I just selected September, nothing changed. Now, if I go over here and enable quick filtering, now the dashboard changes.
All right, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries.
Oh, and you know what? Actually, one quick question. Are we going to receive that data set for the capstone before next week, or will we only get that on Wednesday?
Very good question. I don't know if any of you have done any investigations, but the data set has actually been in the Dropbox folder this entire semester. So if you do want to get a head start on the capstone project and just pop it open and curiously take a look at what we'll be working with, it's in the capstone or workshop 5 folder, and it's been there this entire time.
Thank you.
You got it.
How's it going, Carl? I had 2 questions. First, you were talking about the grading for our portfolios.
Yep.
One of the things you said to look out for was keeping our filters in single value drop-down format or something that's usable.
Yeah, I would say if it's a gradient. So if you are filtering on a highly aggregated data type, like we've been doing in workshop 1 and 2, where like department had 3 departments or 4 departments within it, I forget. That's okay to use that like list that doesn't drop in. But once you start getting beyond like 4 values, that's when you want to roll it up into a menu.
Gotcha. And are there any other like little things that we should look out for in the grading criteria that maybe we skipped out or didn't get?
No, so a lot of people panic about like, oh, is my dashboard pretty? That's not the right question to be asking. The right question to be asking is what I'm presenting meaningful? That's the better question. If you're able to articulate why certain visualizations are in the order that they're in, or even why you even did a visualization, and you can justify that in your head, that's perfectly fine. Because if you can do that, that means that you followed some sort of structure into how you're approaching the data. Like I've repeated this multiple times throughout the session because it's true, quite frankly. Like there are many, many different ways to tear up these data sets. Like the way I'm doing them with you guys, it's not the only way, and it's not the right way. It's just probably the most obvious way to me first.
Awesome. Okay. And the last question, earlier this semester, you said in class, I bet I can add up all the change in your purse very fast. Was that a reference to Kanye West?
Indeed it was.
Dropout. Oh, I've been killing me. That's sick. Thank you.
Indeed it was. Back when I liked Kanye. Once he started getting super modern, I kind of fell off. But I was a big fan of that old 70s soul production.
That's a dope album.
I started college actually as a sound engineering major.
That's awesome. I appreciate it. It was a great class. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, man. All right, we got a lot of people who either went and got drinks and forgot to turn off Zoom, or we got some quiet folks who are shy. So I'm going to start going in order based on the Brady Bunch squares that I see if anyone doesn't speak up.
Well, actually, I think I'm gonna go get a drink.
Good for you.
Thank you for the class. It was great.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hi, Carl. I'm still having issues with the current price variable showing up as null, and I've tried restarting Tableau and downloading the Google Sheet as an Excel file and uploading it from there, but it's still showing up as null.
Okay, yeah, that one's going to involve a little bit more troubleshooting. Let me see if there's anyone who has any quick questions, and then if anyone has the same issue, we'll work through it together.
Okay.
GSB 3.104, are y'all still even here? Or did y'all
We're here, but I'm scared to end it before I leave because I think that'll kick everybody
yeah, you were
out.
the one
So
that
I'm trying
emailed
to
me.
wait till the end.
No worries. I appreciate it. All right, who's got anyone got a question that's not about a data quality issue?
Yeah, Carl, I have a question regarding your formatting in the linear regression. So I know you created 2 linear regressions, right? But the first one looks like it's more refined and stuff.
Yeah. You want to share your screen?
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah, they're just different ways of doing it. Quite frankly, I like the first one better, but Tableau defaults to the other way.
Okay. Do you see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, wait, I spoke too soon. Sorry. It's still blank. There we go. Okay. Cool. All right. So what I want you to do to get to where I was before, you see where it says symbol on your shelf?
Mm-hmm.
On your shelf where it says marked?
I'm not sure. Right here?
Yeah, you got it.
Okay.
Go ahead and drag that to where it says the detail tile.
Oh,
there you go.
Wow.
Now you can go to shape and select the filled circle. Oh, no, you didn't have to do that. Cancel.
Oh, cancel. Okay.
Yeah, it's right there. The filled circle.
Oh, this one?
Yeah, you got it.
Got you. Okay.
All right. And then what I would do is increase the size a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, that's good. And then go to color and drop your opacity to about 60, 70%. Yeah.
I just do 50. See. Okay,
yeah.
Cool.
You're good. And then if you want to, you don't have to, you can color by median first day close return as well. So you take first day. You take first day close return and drop that on the color tile. Not from up there, from your from your measure shelf. There you go. You got it.
Oh,
there
wow.
And then change your function also, because right now you're summing. Actually, No, it doesn't it doesn't matter in this case because this is highly aggregated data set. One row represents one company.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no worries. Good work.
Hey, Carl, I just wanted to, if you could go to your linear regression one, I just wanted to know how you did the line.
Yeah, for sure. All you actually got to do is just right click on the white space of your canvas here. Let me share.
Is it because my Tableau crashed, so I can't even try it on mine right now?
Oh no.
Yes.
Yeah, Tableau updates the paid version more frequently than they update the unpaid version, and it's reflected in the stability.
They asked me for an update before I started. I was like, no, remind me later.
All right. So do you see something similar to this or close?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All you got to do to get the trend line to show up is just right click in the white space. Trend line, show trend line.
Okay, perfect. And then another question, I wanted you to go to the, what's it called? Like the industry performance. I just wanted to know how you did the colors like that. This is the part that I missed. Also, like mine weren't like ordered in this order. Like
yeah, because you have to sort.
I did sort descending and still wasn't doing this. I don't know.
Share your screen with me.
I can't share.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Okay,
right.
just show me how you did the color. Just show
when
me
I
how
upload the recorder, you can just fast forward to this part.
Yeah, okay.
So
Okay.
let me just go ahead and just build this from scratch for you. We're gonna bring in industry. We're gonna bring in first.
You want to
day
share your
close.
screen?
Oh shit, my bad. that is the other reason I hate Zoom.
No, I love Zoom. Okay.
If this were just like a straight lecture class, I'd be fine with it. But since there's so much hands-on work.
No, but it's so nice being able to attend class from your bed. Like it's very
Yeah,
comfortable.
that's true. I don't fault y'all. I don't fault y'all. It just makes my life harder. All right. So what you want to do, you just bring in industry. You're gonna bring in first day close return. We're gonna change that function on first day close return to median. We're gonna go ahead and change our formatting so that we can get percentages, the first decimal place. And then we go to show me bar chart right here. Were you able to get this far?
Yes.
Great. So I'm going to swap my axes here. Go ahead and stop me once I get to the part where you fell off.
Okay.
Once I
First of all,
swap,
I just wanted to, because when I was doing this, industry wasn't showing in my filters.
oh yeah, that's just because I have it applied to.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah, that's just there to saying, hey, you have a quick filter that's being applied to this data set.
Okay, there we go. Okay, move on.
Yeah. So next we're going to go to sort descending up here. And when you hit that, it just goes like this.
Oh, this is what I was clicking on it and doing sort descending. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. That would, so when you, so like this, yeah, that's what you would do if it was in the detailed view, like a pivot format.
Okay.
And then that's when you tell it, okay, this column, sort this entire view by this column. That's what that's for.
Okay, there we go. That makes sense.
Yeah. And then
The color palette.
Yeah, color palette, where you can take first day close return, drop it on color. And then again, we have to change our function from count distinct to median. And then when we select color, we go to edit color, palette, and we're going to select red, green diverging.
Okay.
When we do that, we get that. Oh yeah, there's
mine looked like that.
Okay, yeah, because and then I introduced like how to use the full intensity of the spectrum of color. You just select use full color range.
Oh, okay. Okay, this is what I missed. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no worries. All right, who's next?
I got current price to show up, but I can't tell if it's like correct, if that makes sense.
Well, the good thing is we can cross-reference it in Google Finance.
Yeah.
You want to share your screen with me?
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and work through it. Is my voice super echoey?
Not for me.
Okay, good.
Okay.
The sound panels on my wall are working.
I
Okay,
can't tell if
great.
it's shared or not.
Yeah, it's sharing right now.
Okay, so the current price, someone in like a group from another class was helping me. They just said to toggle, but like the number right here, to click here and then go to number whole instead of decimal, and then it worked for me. So if that's what anyone's question was.
Yeah, what that's doing is it's just rounding up or down to the nearest whole number. That's okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
And when I had it, because when I had it as number decimal, that's when it was saying null. I don't know what the difference would be there. But
yeah, could you do me a favor? Let's just see what that does when you switch it back.
oh, well, maybe I just had to switch it back and forth a few times.
I swear to God, I say it as a joke, like the blowing on the Nintendo cartridge trick, like turning things on and off, or enabling something and unabling it. It's crazy how many multi-billion-dollar systems I've been a part of that fixes probably 60 to 70% of the problems every time.
Right. Okay. Well, thank you.
Yeah, no worries.
I guess thank you, Cecily, because that worked for me as well. Changing.
Look at us, learning together.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no worries.
Same with me. Thank you.
Awesome. All right, we're down to Clara. What's your question? Clara? You're on mute. Or you left early and forgot to log off. It's okay. All right, Salvatore and GSB 31.
Yeah, I think it's just me in the room, so.
I appreciate it, man.
No problem.
Are you in the class, or are you with media services?
No. I'm in the class. We were trying to get it on the presenter screens, and then as soon as we joined it, we're like, wait, did we just start the meeting? So sorry about that.
Yeah, that may have been what was causing my problem. Trying to get in.
Yeah, I would bet it is. Sorry about that.
No worries. All right, great work, man. Appreciate it.
No, thank you, and thank you for everything.
Absolutely.
Take care.
See ya. All right, Clara. Last call. All right. Shoot me an email if you got a question. I'm not sure if you're having issues with your mic or if you left Zoom on, but see ya.